The New York Rangers have found a hidden gem, as one player who was on nobody's radar is poised to make the opening night lineup, as well as two other prospects who are looking to make a statement. And we have a massive injury update to one of the Rangers' star players. We're going to break all of that down in this video, but before we do, a quick reminder to hit that subscribe button. About 70% of you who watch our videos are not actually subscribed to the channel, so if you want to do yourself a favor, hit that subscribe button. It's free and you get to stay up to date with everything New York Rangers. And that's right, guys, as I mentioned, there is one player who is on nobody's radar coming into this training camp that looks like he's going to make the opening night roster. He's had a great training camp, and again, he had a great game last night, and we're going to break it down, as well as an injury update to a New York Rangers star, which we'll get to later in the video. This is going to be a jam-packed episode of Rangers Digest. Let's dive right into it. From Vince Mancini, Victor Mancini, he's looked great this so far this preseason, and he continues to make his push for the opening night roster, this time with a nice move from the point, collecting the puck into the top of the right circle, and a well-placed wrister for his second goal of the preseason. We'll take a look at it again, but again, second goal of the preseason. He has a couple more points added to that as well so far this preseason, and some just really high IQ plays, right? Like bouncing pucks off the boards to keep it alive in play, creating chances that way, and his skating. He's looked so mobile. He's looked fantastic so far. So we'll take a quick look at his goal last night. Nice little play to keep it alive on the line. And then this is a great release. And obviously here, celebrating with the fans. Love to see that. But yeah, he's looked fantastic so far this preseason to me. And I mean, not just on the offensive side of the puck, which he's looked great, the defensive side of the puck as well. So you may be thinking I'm a little crazy for suggesting he may make the opening night lineup, but who else that's a defenseman not named Zach Jones, because I think he's going to make the lineup as well, is going to make this opening night lineup, right? If you look down the depth chart, this is a guy who's really impressed. Looks like he's ready to go. And with Ryan Lindgren presumably out for a couple weeks still, this is a guy who can fit in right beside Adam Fox. Yes, they're both right shot defensemen, but for the time being, until Ryan Lindgren comes back, I think it's a pretty good option for the New York Rangers because he's young. He obviously wants it. He's hungry, and he's playing great. Why not put this guy in, see what he can do for a couple games? He's not going to stay here the whole year. We know that, but he's playing fantastic right now. He really wants it. Put him in the lineup, see what he can do, and if he can make a difference for the New York Rangers. It's going to be a very long season. They're going to have to use a lot of players, and again, like I mentioned, Zach Jones, who's looked great as well, has probably earned himself a spot on this team as well. So you know what? Mancini has looked fantastic, and we'll get into a quote from Peter Laviolette on Mancini as well. And he said, "I thought he was better than he was last night. He's taking down a lot of ice time and games from rookie camp through this camp here. Sometimes for young players, that can be a little bit challenging. The response he had tonight, I thought, was really good." So obviously high praise from the New York Rangers coach as well to Victor Mancini. He seems to like him. Victor Mancini is playing well. The fans seem to be on board. It looks like Mancini could be making his NHL debut next week when the Rangers kick off their season. Finally, next week, the NHL season gets underway. So let me know in the comments if you think Victor Mancini should make the opening night lineup. I think it would be a fun prospect just to put him in. You know, there's a guy down with injury in Lindgren right now. Why not try it out? Obviously, two right shot defensemen, not ideal, but just put him in, see what he can do and how he hangs in the first week of the NHL season. I think it would be fun to watch, honestly. I think it would be fun. And speaking of fun to watch, this fourth line would be so fun in the regular season, especially with how good Edstrom is playing recently. And this is from Molly Walker, this Edstrom, Carrick, Rempe line could be something. The way the boards shake when the two towering forwards come in on the forecheck is crazy. And we have a video here that I want to share with you about one of these forechecks. And I mean, Rempe, imagine this coming down on you when you're trying to move the puck into the defensive zone, and then again, nobody is safe. He's coming for everyone. I love it from Matt Rempe. Personally, I think he should make the opening night lineup. I've been pretty vocal about that on this channel. I think Rempe is the guy that should be on the fourth line there. He's obviously made improvements to his game. You can tell. And I mean, again, if you see that towering down on you, and even this screenshot I thought was hilarious, on the forecheck, you are going to be hesitant to move that puck. You are going to make a mistake. So he's a very valuable asset for the New York Rangers this season. And before we get to some injury news, we also have a quote from Peter Laviolette on Adam Edstrom and his preseason so far as well. And he said, he's playing fast, he's playing physical, he's playing pretty good defense. He's done a pretty good job on the penalty kill, and he's added offensively. He's checked a lot of boxes, and if you ask me, he's checked almost every box. So it's going to be a very difficult decision for the New York Rangers to make coming up here. Who starts the season, who doesn't start the season? You have a guy like Brennan Othmann who's just, improved leaps and bounds and could be on his way to making the NHL squad as well. You have Rempe and Edstrom, who is fantastic. He's a big body. He's great on the penalty kill. He's another great fourth line option. Maybe he can even move up in the lineup, with some NHL experience. Then you have Matt Rempe, who's a fan favorite. He plays physical. He's added offense to his game. I think he's added a little bit of defense to his game. He wants to continue working at it, right? He has the work ethic to put in the work, and he had a great summer. So I think the Rangers have a lot of tough decisions coming up here. And, again, I think I'm more on the Matt Rempe train. I think a lot of people are, just because he has NHL experience, and that might be the only reason at this point, because Rempe and Edstrom has played fantastic. But I don't see them taking Sam Carrick out. And, there's the third line, Will Cooley's there. Where does Brennan Othmann fit in? It's going to be very interesting to see who gets cut. And I don't, if Edstrom does not get into this lineup, if he does not make the roster opening night, we will see him again this season. And for him to go down to Hartford is not a bad thing, right? It's not a bad thing. He's going to gain a lot of valuable experience there. So I'm not entirely worried about that whatsoever. Now, there is tons of opportunity, and we'll get into one last thing from Peter Laviolette as well. I said before camp started, our eyes are open. We're watching practices, we're watching scrimmages, we're watching exhibition games, and then all of a sudden, something really unfortunate happens with Lindgren and his injury. So we lose a guy for a few weeks, and we just have to have people come in and replace that. And he was talking specifically about Mancini here in this quote, but the quote, the top half of it at least, goes for everyone. They're watching everything. So every little thing you do in practice or in a game counts right now. And I think that's fantastic. And to move along a little bit quickly before we wrap it up, Artemi Panarin left last night's game again. He left a game last week early as well with an injury. He obviously came back. It wasn't anything significant. And he exited the game with a lower body injury, which it was a lower body injury last week again. So I wonder if it's the same injury that's kind of creeping up on him again. I hope it's not. That's not a great sign. But anyway, regarding Panarin, Laviolette said there's always concern when a player leaves early. As for the severity of the injury, he said he's still being evaluated. And then at this point in time, Laviolette used the word precautionary. So I don't think, this is anything serious for Panarin at this point. And it sounds like they're hopeful that he'll be fine. So I don't think it's anything too serious for Artemi Panarin. Again, it's preseason. If you feel anything, kind of creep up on you in terms of injury or discomfort, you're leaving the game. It doesn't matter. Get ready for the regular season. Now, the Rangers, before we wrap up very quickly, made some training camp cuts today, cutting a few notable names. Adam Ernie is going to stay in the organization as well, which I thought was pretty cool because he grew up cheering for the New York Rangers. I covered that in a video yesterday. But 36 players remain with the Rangers training camp, and some pretty notable names as well. Obviously, Matt Rempe, obviously Victor Mancini. You have Matthew Robertson, Connor Mackley. There's a lot of interesting names still. The goaltenders, I wouldn't dive too deep into that. We know who the goaltenders are going to be for the Rangers this year. But some pretty interesting names still around this late into training camp. And some of them we may see in the opening night lineup. So let me know in the comments who would be in your opening night lineup. And if you believe that Victor Mancini should make the opening night lineup for the New York Rangers, I think it would be really fun. And who do you think is going to fill out that fourth line come next week? It's going to be very fun to watch. And if you haven't yet, hit that subscribe button so you can stay up to date with everything New York Rangers.